I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Nicholas Scalice. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Doing pretty well.
A great pleasure to connect with you, Nicholas. What part of the world are you in right now?
Yeah, I'm calling from Boca Raton, Florida.
Oh, sweet. You're right there. You're pretty close to us. Ooh, sounds like fun. How's the weather there?
It's pretty good. A little bit warm for a November, but hey, nothing the typical Floridians aren't used to.
It's just as though it gets the air conditioner turned up a bit, right? For the
Exactly.
fall. Yeah, sounds good. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
So it's probably my podcast, Growth Marketing Toolbox, where I help marketers discover the latest and greatest marketing tools.
Yeah. Tell us more. What's the name of the podcast?
Yeah, so Growth Marketing Toolbox is the name. It's a podcast I've been doing for about 2 years now. And the main idea is just to help marketers discover new tools, new technology, and how to implement those tools in their day-to-day work.
Now, who did you learn the skill of using these tools from?
Well, I've been working in the marketing industry for about 8 years. So I've always been fascinated by all the different marketing technology that's out there. And a lot of that experience just comes from working at marketing agencies and in the agency environment, because it's such a fast-paced type of workplace that you're able to learn very quickly, and marketing agencies always love to test out new tools.
Oh, so you get to be the test subject and the test user. Ooh, sounds like fun. What's something you can throw out to the amazing audience that is a must-have in the marketing tools arena? Yeah,
so there's a really interesting tool called Zapier, which probably a lot of your listeners has heard of. It's similar to If This Then That, which is another tool in the same category, but it's basically like a tool that you can use to connect different tools together. So let's say you want to send data from a landing page or from your website contact form into an email marketing program like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign. You could use Zapier to basically glue those tools together and to get them talking to each other. So it's very, very helpful.
How easy is it to use?
It's pretty easy. You don't have to know any code. It was actually built because people were frustrated with having to go into the back end and have to deal with the APIs and all the different technical stuff. So it's as easy as clicking a few buttons, connecting a few different accounts, and making sure that it passes the right data from one program to another.
Sounds like fun. Sounds as though Nicholas knows what he's speaking about. Amazing audience. That's great. So you've been doing this for quite a bit. About how long? Have you been doing this?
So I've been working in the marketing industry for about 8 years, but I've been podcasting for just a little over 2 years.
Wow. That's great. Congratulations on both. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Why will you continue? Again, you're mingling the two things into one, right? So it's a melting pot. Why will you continue?
I love helping people discover new ways to work more efficiently. I've always been interested in productivity and just helping people do better work and get better results. And so just like a carpenter or a plumber has their set of tools, I think every marketer should have the right set of tools in their digital toolbox. And so that's what I try to do. I try to help people put together their toolbox.
Where's the best place for us to connect with you?
So the best place would probably be, you could just go to growthmarketingtoolbox.com, or you could search for Growth Marketing Toolbox on any of the podcast stores. And you'll be able to connect with me there, or you can check out my business website, which is earnworthy.com. That's EARNWORTHY.com.
So the three graph-like bars on your artwork, right? Why is one of them like sticking out?
Yeah, wow. I never had anyone ask that question before, but it's a great question. So what I was trying to go for with that logo was to try to blend together data, because a lot of what I do in the marketing world is related to data, but also conversations. So that little tab at the bottom is sort of like a chat icon that you would see on like a chat bubble. So it's sort of a blend between conversations and data.
Oh, and that is where it's pointing to Earnworthy. Oh,
Exactly.
love it. I think if you only did the chat box like surrounding it, game over. It would have been like clear.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I might have to do a little refresh there.
Yeah, songs, yeah, definitely. Love it, love it. All right, tell us one other thing that you've done, Nicholas, consistently over the last 3 years.
Probably reading. I try to read for at least 30 minutes a day. And, I definitely don't do it every day, but I try to make that a habit, mostly with nonfiction books, like self-development stuff.
How does that make you feel?
Pretty good. It helps me break away from like the day-to-day work, because as a marketer, I'm always in front of a screen, so it's a little bit, you don't want to be glued to your computer all day. So I try to break away from that and do a little reading here and there.
And you're doing this on like real pages, right?
Yeah. So I like reading real books. I mean, from time to time, I'll read on an iPad, but I hear a lot of people say like, when you're staring at the screen all day, the last thing you want to do is go stare at another screen.
Yeah, I immediately felt that way. Like turning real pages mean the world to me right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really amazing. Like being the tech guy, I was so excited that Kindle books are on my tablet or on my screen, right? And now to even think of the fact of reading something on that, oh my gosh, it makes
a difference.
Yeah. That's wonderful. All right, my friend. Well, suggest to someone that's listening why they should do what you've done. I love how you're measuring and attempting to remain balanced in your life.
Yeah, I would say reading, it's one of the few habits that you don't really feel the impact every single day, but over time you'll definitely see the impact. Your vocabulary will broaden, you'll have better conversations, and you'll be able to think more clearly. So I think over the long term, there's a lot of impact that just reading or incorporating a reading habit can give to you.
Amazing audience. We are live with Nicholas Scalice. Again, you can check him out. He is the podcast host of Growth Marketer Toolbox. Did I get that correct? Yes, I did.
The Growth Marketing Toolbox.
No, so yeah, it's different, right? So it's different between marketer and marketing, right? Wonderful. So it's Growth Marketing Toolbox. Let's switch gears, Nicholas, and let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Nicholas, what is your earliest childhood memory?
I would say watching the Lion King movie on the opening day.
On the opening day. How old were you?
Oh, yeah. Probably about 7.
Wow. Why do you think this memory is so clear?
From what I remember, that I was obsessed with that movie. I remember this was when Disney was really in the heyday. They had just finished Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. And so this was like primetime 90s Disney movies. And I just remember there being so much hype around the Lion King. And so like I begged my mom to let me skip school that day. I think it was like a Thursday. And yeah, we went to go see it. It was like the first showing. And yeah, it's always been one of my favorite movies.
What has been the effect of that movie on your life?
I think it has a good story. I wish Disney would make more movies like that. Yeah. With the animated movies that they do these days, they're just not the same. And so there's something about the original Disney 90s movies that's very sentimental.
Yeah. I was speaking with my wife last night, I believe, about that. Like, hey, we should start looking over some of those old Disney movies. I said, because I was a Disney guy, I really loved and connected to the magic at that time, right? Like Disney magic was different from what it is now, right? It was
very different.
Yeah. All right, my friend, well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Yes, please.
I love the idea of the toolbox you applied in that particular scenario, where you got your mother to use the tool of her power to let you stay at home for you to go and get the value you wouldn't have been able to get, right? Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, I see how you're gluing it all together. That's awesome.
And you did that, like at that tender age, like you identified what was the thing you needed to access. And then you found a way to get it. Amazing, right?
It's very, very interesting. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
Probably Surfing Safari by the Beach Boys. I was a big Beach Boys fan, and I was pretty much obsessed with that song at the time.
Yeah. Well, I am a MacBook user, and we both know that Safari is the main browser that comes with it, right? So I'll just connect that and say, again, the tools shine out, right?
Interesting. Yeah, true.
All right, Nicholas. Well, we have arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Nicholas?
Oh, yes. Let's go.
Nicholas, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes, my listeners and my clients.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Not yet.
All right. Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes, but a very small one.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No, maybe just a couple hours per week.
All right. And what about screen time? The phone and the computer, is it more than 8? Yeah, you did answer
Oh,
this,
yes.
right?
You know the answer to that. Yes, definitely more than 8 a day.
Nicholas, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
I would say find your focus and give it everything you've got.
Love it. Nicholas, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, just thank you for the opportunity to get to know your audience. And for anyone out there interested in marketing tools, definitely check out Growth Marketing Toolbox. Just search for that on the podcast app of your choice.
Love it. Nicholas Scalice, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, Angel.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.